Hello viewers, welcome back. And in this video, I shall try to talk about an autobiography, not an autobiography, it is a travel writing actually. So it is a travel writing written by American author Mark Twain. You must have heard his name. He is a famous and well-known writer of his time, and he is still celebrated for his amazing works in American literary canon. So the book, The Innocent Abroad or The New Pilgrim's Progress, it is a travel book and it was first published in 1869. Besides, uh, through this book, the writer has tried to travel many. Through this book, the writer has tried to depict his experience as a traveler. Okay, and that's why he has humorously chronicled this book as Great Pleasure Excursion on board the chartered vessel Quaker City, formerly known as USS Quaker City, through Europe and the Holy Land with a group of American travelers in 1867. Now let's try to know about the writer Samuel Langhorne Clemens. That was his first name, full name, and he was born in November 30 and November 30, 1835, and died in April 21, 1910. He is known by his pen name Mark Twain, and he was an American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, publisher, and lecturer. He was lauded as the greatest humorist the United States has produced, and William Faulkner called him the father of American literature. His novels include The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, that was published in 1876, and its sequel, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. It was published in 1884, the latter of which has often been called the Great American Novels. So he has contributed immensely. There has no comparison in America. And Mark Twain was raised in Hannibal, Missouri, which later provided the setting for Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. And he served as an apprentice with a printer and then worked as a typesetter, contributing articles to the newspaper of his older brother, Orient Clemens. Then he later became a riverboat pilot on the Mississippi River before heading west to join Orlon in Nevada. He also referred humorously his lack of success at mining, turning to journalism for the Virginia City Territorial Enterprise. His humorous story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras Country, it was published in 1865. It is based on a story that he heard at Andel's Hotel in Andel's Camp, California, where he had spent some time as a miner. The short story also brought international attention and was even translated into French. And his wit and satire in prose and in speech, it has earned praise from critics and peers, and he was a friend to presidents, artists, industrialists, and European royalty. This book, Innocent Abroad, it also represents itself as an ordinary travel book based on an actual voyage in a retired Civil War ship, also known as, I have already told you, the USS Quaker City. The excursion was billed as a Holy Land expedition with numerous stops and side trips along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, and notably train excursion from Marseille to Paris for the 1867 Paris exhibition during the reign of Napoleon III and the Second French Empire. Second was journey through the Papal States to Rome. Then number 3, side trip through the Black Sea to Odisha, and number 4, culminating excursion through the Holy Land. Number 5, Twain reports the voyage covered over 20,000 miles of land and sea. Mark Twain has recorded his observation and critiques of the various aspects of culture and society which he encountered on the journey, some more serious than others. Many of his observations draw a contrast between his own experiences and the often grandiose accounts in contemporary travelogues which were regarded in their own time as indispensable aids for traveling in the region. In particular, he lampooned William Cowper Prime's tent life in the Holy Land for its overly sentimental prose and its often violent encounters with native inhabitants. Twain also made light of his fellow travelers and the natives of the countries and regions that he visited, as well as his own expectations and reactions. A major theme of the book, it was that of the conflict between history and the modern world. Twain continually encounters petty profiteering and trivializations of history as he journeys, as well as a strange emphasis placed on particular past events. He is either outraged, puzzled, or bored by each encounter, and one example can be found in the sequence during which the boat has stopped at Gibraltar. On shore, the narrator has encountered seemingly dozens of people intent on regaling him and everyone else with a bland and pointless anecdote concerning how a particular hill nearby acquired its name. Heedless of the fact that the anecdote is indeed bland, pointless, and entirely too repetitive. Another example he gave, it can be found in the discussion of the story of Everald and Heloise, where the skeptical American deconstructs the story and comes to the conclusion that far too much fuss has been made about the two lovers. Only when the ship reaches areas of the world that do not exploit for profit or bore passerby with inexplicable interest in their history, such as the early passage dealing with the ship's time at Azores, is this attitude not found in the text. This reaction to those who profit from the past is found in an equivocal and unsure balance with reverence. In Twain's experience in the Holy Land, the narrator reacts here not only to the exploitation of the past and the unreasoning to the American eye of the time, adherence to always, but also to the profanation of religious history. Many of his allusions are scattered, including the discovery that the nation described in the Old Testament could easily fit inside many American states and countries, and that the kings of those nations might very well have ruled over fewer people than could be found in some small towns. This illusion, he wrote, that if all the poetry and nonsense that have been distressed upon the fountains and the bland scenery of this region were collected in a book, it would make a most valuable volume to burn. If we talk about themes of this book, then humor, Mark Twain's, in all works, humor is a characteristics in his works. And in this book too, it can be seen humor, Mark Twain's signature brand of humor, satire is present throughout the Innocents Abroad, landing laughter to a subject that may otherwise have been largely technical. Satirical humor is a literary device in which exaggeration, mockery, irony, or ridicule is used to create laughter at the subject's expense. Then travel. We all know that this book is primarily based on travel. And during this spectacular voyage through Europe and Africa, Mark Twain has learned much about the inner workings of each society and how to expertly navigate through every destination as a foreigner. Mark Twain's main purpose of writing The Innocent Abroad in the style of a travel guide, it serves to encourage the reader to appreciate American heritage while also celebrating all other walks of life and reflecting on the importance of experiencing new and exciting adventures. Then the third is realism. An unusual aspect of Mark Twain's travel guide is his honesty about his negative experiences as well as his positive ones, openly awarding praise and criticism where he feels it is deserved. Whether in the most ordinary of situations or the most extraordinary of places, Mark Twain has the ability to reduce each to its most honest reality. Then he climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa, frightened and excited at the same time, and he visited historical museums and geographical locations, writing articles for newspapers about each adventure. Then he has also kept personal notes which he combined with his articles to create The Innocent Abroad. Then he visited to the Great Pyramids, which was one that he wrote off with candor, stating that while the pyramids were an imposing sight to behold from a distance, they were much less impressive up close. They were made even less majestic by the long, hot walk to get to them and the strain on the muscle to climb them. His bathing experience in Milan was less than desirable, as the bathhouse attendant had planned to put Twain and two of his companions into a single bathtub. After their objections were duly noted, he had also given a negative note to the lack of soap, marking personal hygiene as deficient in that particular area of Italy and later in France as well. If you talk about culture as the theme in this book, then while on this expansive expedition, Mark Twain wrote of his unique relationships and growing closeness with his shipmates on the USS Quaker City and the diverse cultural difference between each new region and the United States. As a personable man, Mark Twain easily became acquainted with his traveling companions and with the residents of the cities that he visited. Never one to stifle his curiosity and ever the observant author, Mark Twain is able to absorb cultures other than his own, personally and professionally benefiting from the experience. Then if you talk about history, then history is too well described by the writer. Mark Twain has also offered his unique insight into the historical impacts of the surrounding areas. He has compared the more modern life most Americans were accustomed to with the more archaic lifestyle that were still present in older areas of Europe. Along with the economic and historical differences of each area, Mark Twain has written about the various religions found throughout the world. Thank you so much for watching the video.